It's a great way to test and see if you're really growing as a leader and as a person, or if you might have become stagnant. I'm your new favorite coach, Desmond Davis, and I help businesses, organizations, and people better who they are so that they can have a greater impact on what they do. A great sign of your growth as a leader or even as a person is how well are you managing your emotional health. Hear me out. What do you do when things get a little dicey around you? Here's why I ask. Because if you need to be in control of everything that's going on around you, you may not be emotionally healthy. You might be controlling. Here's why this is important. Emotionally fit leaders can deal with the ups and downs of life because their focus is on self-regulating and showing up the best that they can for who's around them. While emotionally controlling leaders aren't good at self-regulating. So to make up for that, they try to control everything outside of them. Now, studies have shown that there are certain characteristics that define people who are emotionally fit, and we're going to do a video on each and every one of them. So I'll see you in the next one. Okay, so welcome to the Emotionally Fit Leadership Series. The first trait we're focusing on is self-awareness. Now, self-awareness is important, and I don't want you getting caught up in this idea of self-awareness is only knowing how you show up in a space. Self-awareness is way more than that. It's about understanding your own hot buttons, understanding what your triggers might be, doing the deep dive of really learning and self-discovery, trying to find out where those blinders might be in your own processing. And when you do that, you have a better sense of self. And when you have a better sense of self, you're more comfortable in your own skin. When you're more comfortable in your own skin, you're more likely to be more vulnerable, more patient with the people who are working with you or for you, and you lead from a better and more authentic place. Self-awareness. Try it. Man, this is good. This is good. The next trait of an emotionally fit leader is mindfulness. Sometimes people get mindfulness confused with self-awareness because in mindfulness, the idea is really being present in the moment, especially when it deals with discomfort. As leaders, our work consistently deals with engaging with our teams and achieving goals in a group capacity. But to do that, you have to be willing to sit in some discomfort. If you want to start a fire, you got to be willing to rub some logs, get some friction, and deal with that discomfort in any given moment. Those that are really good at mindfulness are less likely to fall into autopilot whenever the crap hits the fan. Here's a free exercise you can try. Before you go to bed, I want you to reflect on your day. Can you remember a lot of the details of what happened in that day? If not, and if it feels like your day was a blur, you might have been on autopilot and you probably weren't practicing a lot of mindfulness. This further compounds if you consider the fact that you might have had meetings or uncomfortable conversations, or you had to make decisions and you were doing all of that while on autopilot. So pay attention. Our next trait of an emotionally fit leader is curiosity. Psychologist Emily Anholt describes curiosity perfectly when she says that curiosity is prioritizing your desire to learn and grow over the fear of being criticized. Emotionally fit leaders who practice curiosity and make that a staple of their leadership style usually won't find themselves subservient to their own expectations regarding a situation. Meaning this, they're willing to give space for something that might be true, even if it stands in direct contrast to what they think is true. It's the curious mind that doesn't get defensive, that's open to feedback and critiques, because their sole goal is to find what is true and execute that to the best of their abilities. The next trait of an emotionally fit leader is resiliency. Now, this is one that a lot of people sort of struggle with. The trait of resiliency shows up in our ability to deal with criticism or to get uncomfortable feedback and not shrink in the moment, pull away, or try to disengage. On the other hand, a leader that lacks resiliency might really find themselves spending most of their time trying to avoid decisions that could potentially shake their confidence. Honestly, most of the time their confidence isn't that strong to begin with, and since they haven't done the work on themselves, They'll do the work by controlling as many situations outside their power that could potentially shake their confidence. Consider resiliency almost like your comeback power, your bounce back power. Maybe you get knocked down in a decision. A resilient leader doesn't stay down. They always make their way back up. And along the way up, they're thinking of the lessons that they gleaned from that moment and how they can make things better moving forward. The next trait of an emotionally fit leader is effective communication. When it comes to effective communication, remember this saying. Effective communication is proactively concise, proactively clear, proactively constructive, and will give proactive directions. Leaders who effectively communicate are able to provide vision and give clear instruction on what's going on up here. Leaders who effectively communicate do an awesome job of being able to paint vision and give clear instructions to teams so that they can really run with whatever the idea is. An effective communicator will always pride themselves on being proactive, getting the information to the people ahead of time instead of waiting until it's needed in an emergency. And our last trait for an emotionally fit leader is someone who practices cultural humility. The culturally humble leader understands that the best teams and the best groups are made of diverse people with different walks of life, different life experiences, different identities. And they don't look at that as a challenge or as a stumbling block, but they look at that as an opportunity to commit to lifelong learning. Engaging and leaning into the different people that you meet and learning about them and their culture and how they express identity. Culturally humble leader is able to take that and they use that to expose and find blinders or biases within their own thinking. And when they do that, they show up that much more authentically for their team and for the folk that are around them. To learn more about cultural humility, go to my website at davisinspire.com and check out the book, The Culturally Humble Leader. In the meantime, like, share, and subscribe for more content, and let's be better together.